Lemonada.
Summer. It's when we share more time, more memories, and more photos. And at AT&T, the iPhone 17 Pro is your summer essential. Its center stage front camera auto-adjusts the frame to fit everyone into group selfies. You don't even have to turn your phone.
And AT&T makes sharing those pics with everyone easy. Right now at AT&T, ask how you can get iPhone 17 Pro on them with eligible iPhone trade-in, any condition. Requires trade-in of iPhone 15 Plus or higher, excludes iPhone 16e and 17e. Requires eligible plan. Terms and restrictions apply. Subject to change. Visit att.com/iPhone or visit an AT&T store for details. You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Hello and welcome to Happier, a podcast where we talk about ways to become happier. This week, we'll talk about the value of reflecting on a milestone moment, and we add a new suggestion to our growing Treat Yourself Like series. I'm Gretchen Rubin, a writer who studies happiness, good habits, human nature. I'm in my little hot home office in New York City, and joining me today from Los Angeles is my sister, the sage, Elizabeth Kraft.
That's me, Elizabeth Kraft, a TV writer and producer living in LA. And Gretch, notice I'm wearing off-white today for my summer of off-white delight.
Yes, you're embracing bone, right? Off-white delight.
Yes.
But before we jump in, a few updates.
Anna says the anti-drip wristband is a great tip. I have this same annoying trickle down my arm when I put my contact lenses in every morning. Not wanting to wait to buy the appropriate article, I cut off the top of some old sports socks of my husband's, which does the trick. And actually, I already knew about this system as I also put a similar old sock band on my wrist to clean my brushes when watercoloring outside. Credit for this to John Ware Laws. I just never thought of applying it to the bathroom.
Well, I love this because you do feel a little bit silly buying these anti-drip wristbands because they are so specific. And I love that, yeah, you could just do this with an old sock. Or if you have an old sports wristband around, I think that would work too. I feel like growing up, these were all over the place. We don't have any in our home. So it's a problem that can be solved in many ways.
Yes. Well, I have been wearing the ones you sent me every day, Gretch, when I wash my face.
The problem is sometimes I walk out of the bathroom with them on. Yeah. I forget that I'm wearing them. And then I see like, oh, I've got all this action around my wrists. And then this came with Tammy. This is back to my idea of wanting to replace the word squat with something else. And many readers suggested pliés because I'm saying that I want to do 13 squats. And Tammy points out, I don't know which one you're doing, so maybe you are doing pliés, but if you're doing traditional squats, that's not the same. For one thing, if you're doing actual squats, your feet are parallel and the movement is like you're sitting back in a chair. If you do a plié, your feet are turned out and your knees go out as you bend. They don't even work the same muscle groups. If you don't want to use the word squats, call them knee bends or something. But any ballet dancer or former ballet dancer will tell you that a squat is not a plié. Well, this is a really good point. And when I really examined what I was doing, I realized that actually I had changed my movement once I had this idea of plié. And for me, this may not be true for everybody, pliés are easier than the traditional squat. So this was like, oh, I have a new fun word and it's actually easier to do this exercise. And I talked to a friend of mine who is a trainer and she says that sumo squats are another term for a plié, and regular squats are just regular squats, the sitting down one. And she said both of them are worth doing, the sumo squat and the regular squat and or the plié. But I think I really need to focus on doing the regular squat because that's the one that's hardest for me. But it's just funny that it seemed like such an easy solution, but actually those two terms were very different from each other.
But I know what you meant.
Yes.
Terry said, and I love this one, my husband and I recently visited Kansas City for a few days as a stop on our cross-country Amtrak trip. High on my list of things to do was visit the Plaza and Winstead, so we did those on the first day. It was rainy, but we enjoyed walking around the Plaza anyway, and the burger did not disappoint. But the funniest part was when my husband said, wow, this is the best ice. I told him that seems to be the consensus. Gretch, you and I talk about the amazing soft crushed ice at Winstead's all the time.
Best ice ever. But I have to say, Terry, gold star to your husband and you, because not everybody gets the excellence of the Winstead's burger right away. Some claim that it is an acquired taste. We think they are the best. So it's great to know that the two of you appreciated the burgers and the ice at our beloved Winstead's.
Yes.
So this week, our try this at home suggestion is to reflect on a milestone moment. And yesterday was the 6th-month anniversary of our beloved father's death. And Father's Day is coming up on June 15th. And this feels like a moment to stop and reflect. I mean, we think about this all the time. We talk about this all the time amongst the two of us. We talk about it with our mother all the time. We talk about it with our friends and our families. The 6-month mark does feel like a moment.
Yeah, it's kind of accepting the reality of the finality of death.
Yes.
But he's really not coming back.
Yes. Even though we logically knew that he wasn't coming back, there was sort of this idea of almost being out of town or temporarily out of reach. And now it's just very clear that the reality of the finality, this is final. I was thinking about some of the things that I've learned from this time. And one of them is just like you found those voicemail phone recordings that you didn't even know you had. It's like, wow, the audio, the video, the photos, all these things are so precious. I hadn't realized how little audio we had of Dad.
Yeah, I think we all think about taking video of our kids, but we don't think about taking video of the adults around us.
Yeah. In a separate thing, I was looking at some old home movies, and often I would hear Dad's voice in the background commenting on something, but I wasn't like interviewing him on like Christmas morning or whatever. So that was a good lesson. Another lesson is we've just realized over and over and over, we've had hard conversations with our parents for a very long time. And boy, it made things easier at the end because we were just crystal clear about what everybody thought and what everybody wanted. And you knew and I knew and Mom knew and Dad knew. It's sometimes really hard to have those conversations, but it really pays off.
Yeah. And the earlier they're had, definitely the better.
Yes.
The healthier everybody is, the better.
Yeah. The more theoretical it all seems. But one of the things I still do find myself laughing at funny family jokes or things. You know, it's not like everything has this dark cloud over it. And even those last days, Dad had his sense of humor right up until the end.
Yes.
And he was having trouble sleeping. And I wasn't there for this, Phyllis. So you told me this and I laugh every time I think of it, where he's the thing about the melatonin. So tell what Dad said.
Yeah, so Dad was having trouble sleeping at the end because of, I think, because of the pain.
Yeah.
And I had been asking the nurse for help. And so she came in and said she was giving him melatonin. And Dad and I were both kind of like took a pause. And she said, well, melatonin is the first thing we try. And then Dad said, what's the last thing we try? Meaning, let's skip to the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just such a sense of humor.
Yes.
Oh, and at that moment, right?
I couldn't believe that he could have a joke at that time.
Yeah.
But it is one thing, Gretchen, is that you and I wrote down a lot of things right away about those last few days. And I'm so glad we did.
Yes.
Right now, it's still hard for me to revisit that. But I know that I'm going to be so glad that I have all that stuff written down because you forget.
No, and I think that this is something that happens in many different situations in our lives. You think this is so intense. This is so vivid. This carries so much emotional weight. Of course, it is unforgettable. and then you forget it or it blurs. Even a few days later, we were trying to figure out the sequence of events.
Yeah.
I think sometimes just being in something that's shocking itself makes it hard to remember. So I wish we had done that even more, actually. I wish we had been doing it very purposefully at the time, that it was the last thing we were thinking about. I feel like we're still learning about Dad and discovering new things about him. One of the things I love is I have that app Time Hop where it shows you the pictures a year ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. And so, of course, a lot of pictures still have Dad because he and Mom were in Paris 6 months ago. And that's so poignant to see those photos. It's bittersweet. But one of the things we were talking about is like, wow, Dad loved a bench. We really never noticed it, but boy, he loved a bench. In so many of the pictures, he's like beaming out from a bench. He loved to go for a long walk and sit, talk, and look around on a bench. And we never noticed that until the last few weeks. So I feel like it's not like our experience of him is over.
Right.
I feel like we will still learn.
Yes. One thing, Gretchen, just to mention, is Dad was definitely the most photogenic person in the whole family.
Oh, for sure. To our bitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's great because we have so many great pictures of him. At the same time, it is bittersweet, like you said, because he's so vibrant in every single photo.
Yes, yes.
It's hard to, again, believe that he's gone because all the pictures of him are so good. Even at the end, the pictures are good.
One of those last photos of him eating that milkshake. That's a terrific picture of him.
Yeah. And that was like 2 days before.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I have really learned, Gretchen, and I would share with others, and I'm sure this isn't universal, but for us, and I think for many, is that people do want to talk about their loved one who's died, both the person and sort of the process around it. Now that we've gone through it, looking back, I feel like I didn't spend nearly enough time with people close to me, talking to them about the circumstances and the days and moments surrounding their loved one's death.
Yes.
I've even said that to people. So I've said, now that I've been through this, I wish I had spent more time talking to you about this. I would love to sit down with somebody and go through the entire thing of from this call to that call. We went to the hospital. We had these conversations.
Yes.
So it's just interesting. So now that I know that, I feel like it's really valuable and like I can be a much bigger help or comfort to people when they go through this, which we all will in various ways.
I completely agree 100%. And even as you say that, I have a friend like right now, like the next time I see her, which is later today, I'm going to say exactly what you said, which is looking back, I wish I had really gone through it because I always thought, it would be very painful and people wouldn't want to revisit these last hours. But actually, I have two friends that are doctors and they wanted to hear everything, every decision, every conversation. They were bringing so much to it. And I loved it. I wanted to talk about it with these two friends who really understood why things were happening. But like you say, I'm not sure this would be true for everyone. And of course, the circumstances are so different for everybody and the relationships are different. There's so many factors. But I think you can say, do you want to talk about what happened or not? Because now I feel like I want to hear everybody else's.
Yes.
I had heard that advice. Don't shy away from the person's name. Don't feel like you can't bring them up.
Yes.
But it is hard when you know that there is this pain, but until you're there, it's hard to realize how much pleasure there is in talking about the person.
Yes.
At least in our case.
Yes. Which is why, in Judaism, everybody says, may their memory be a blessing.
Yes.
And now that we have gone through this, that saying makes even more sense because the memory is such a blessing.
Is a blessing.
And remembering and talking and thinking is a blessing.
Well, and one thing we often talk about is like old friends and new friends. And, it's important to have old friends and new friends. And one of the things about seeing my old friends from high school is they remembered Dad so well. He wasn't just like somebody at my wedding or like somebody who came to like, that they met at some big party one time or another. They remembered being at our house. They remembered our dog. They remembered how he played tennis all the time. They remembered how he got into golf. They remembered his blue eyes. They remembered his smile. They remembered him driving carpool. They have their own memories of him.
Yes.
And so these old friends, one of your oldest best friends, Emily, she'd just seen Dad. Like we'd had lunch just, 8 months before or something.
Yeah.
She had just seen him and sat across from him and had a long conversation with him. So it's just different. All friends are good,
Yeah.
but they're different.
Yeah.
Let us know if you do try this at home and how reflecting on a milestone moment works for you. In particular, if you've had a milestone moment related to a loss or death like this, we can all learn from each other. We are still learning so much about this. Let us know on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. Drop us an email at podcast@GretchenRubin.com. As always, you can go to the show notes. That's happiercast.com/589.
Okay, Gretch, coming up, we've got a happiness hack that is a new entry into our treat yourself like category. But first, this break.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Summer always sounds relaxing in theory, but in reality, it can also feel like a lot. Travel, schedule changes, trying to make the most of everything while also not getting overwhelmed by it all. You know, there can be real pressure to feel like you're having the perfect summer. And sometimes taking care of yourself means not saying yes to every plan or trying to do everything. It's figuring out what actually makes the season feel enjoyable instead of exhausting.
Therapy can help with that, understanding your needs, setting boundaries, and building routines that work for you. BetterHelp has over 30,000 licensed therapists, and they match you based on a questionnaire so you can focus on your goals. And if the fit isn't right, you can switch therapists anytime. You don't have to say yes to everything this summer. Find support in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/GretchenRubin. That's betterhelp.com/GretchenRubin.
Every spring, I have that moment when I look in my closet and think, why do I own so many heavy sweaters and nothing I actually want to wear right now? And I truly do not have time to go wander around stores trying to figure it out. That's why I love Daily Look. You get a real personal stylist, not an algorithm, who sends pieces based on your style, body shape, and lifestyle. I just got a box recently and immediately wore one of the tops out to dinner because it felt like something I would have picked if I'd had the time to shop.
And the process is really easy. So you fill out a style quiz, get up to 12 hand-selected pieces delivered to your home, keep what you love, and send back the rest with free shipping both ways. It's time to get your own personal stylist with Daily Look. Head to dailylook.com to take your style quiz and use code HAPPIER for 50% off your first order. Once again, that's dailylook.com for 50% off, and make sure you use our promo code HAPPIER so they know we sent you. One last time, dailylook.com and promo code HAPPIER.
Before we had Skylight, I felt like our schedules lived in 10 different places. Texts, paper notes, random reminders, and somehow someone still didn't know what was happening. What I love about the Skylight calendar is having everything in one place. It syncs with Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, Outlook, all of it, and you can color code everyone's schedule so it's instantly clear what's going on.
You can manage events, chores, grocery lists, and routines all in one place. And if you're not 100% thrilled within 4 months, you could return it for a full refund, no questions asked. Families are better when they're working together. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to myskylight.com/happier. Go to myskylight.com/happier for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's myskylight.com/happier.
Well, there is the hack to treat yourself, and we have a whole conversations that we've had about healthy treats and unhealthy treats. This is a different treat yourself subject. This is our ongoing series, which we did not intend to create, but we have created, so now we're leaning into it, the Treat Yourself Like series. So we have Treat Yourself Like a Toddler, which is don't let yourself get too hungry, too cold. Don't let yourself get too tired, too sleepy, too overwhelmed, etc. Treat yourself like a puppy, which is like you would give your puppy healthy food and plenty of playtime, and you wouldn't drive your puppy to work all day long. So treat yourself like a puppy. Treat yourself like a professor, which is give yourself office hours, take yourself on a sabbatical, give yourself time off. Professors sometimes disagree. I would say this is the golden idealized vision of what it is to be a professor. Treat yourself like a grandchild, which is if you need a little bit of doting, a little bit of unconditional love, a little bit of surprise treats your way. Treat yourself like a factory. This is sort of the oddball one. This is about giving yourself planned downtime and planned maintenance rather than just burning out and blowing out your machinery at an unexpected time. So treating yourself like a factory is about scheduling time for maintenance and care. And now we have an additional one from a listener named Gretchen. I don't run into that many Gretchens, so it's fun to hear from a Gretchen.
Yeah, she said, I have another suggestion for your treat yourself like collection. I like treating myself as an elite athlete, particularly during stressful or busy times. Elite athletes think carefully about how they fuel themselves for their activities, focusing on what they can eat to gain the energy needed to perform. They also consider recovery. After exertion, how can they help their bodies recover? Ice baths, elevating their feet, appropriate nutrition, comfy supportive shoes, and mental stimulation like Legos or puzzles while their bodies relax. During busy times, deliberately thinking about how to fuel and recover from my efforts is useful. Great point.
So I love this. I want to say, treat yourself like an Olympian.
Ah, yes.
Right.
More exciting.
More exciting. But I think this is a great idea. And what you see, if you're looking at this list, is a lot of them kind of overlap. Puppy is a lot like toddler, and that's like grandchild. But I think it's good to have these different terms because for one person, treating yourself like a puppy is going to be very appealing and is going to carry the right connotation and associations that's going to allow them to do that. But for someone else, treat yourself like an Olympian, treat yourself like an elite athlete. That is a completely different set of associations and connotations, and yet it gets to the same place. Words matter, metaphors matter, framing matters. And so I love having these things where you can choose. It's like, do you want to do a project or go on a journey? I don't want to go on a journey. I don't like the metaphor of a journey. I love a project. Some people don't like a project. They think it sounds like homework. So it's like pick your metaphor, but it's good to have a bunch of ideas because maybe treating yourself like a factory appeals to you. It's a different set of associations.
Yeah. What I think is interesting in all of these, there's an element of downtime, the recovery.
Interesting.
The sabbatical, the nap.
Yes.
And I think we often feel guilty about taking time for recovery, but every single one of these has that as an essential ingredient.
And research supports this, that when we think of ourselves in the third person, we're often have better perspective and give ourselves better advice. And so treating yourself like this other kind of person or thing helps you recognize, okay, this is a reasonable thing for me to do. This would be extended in other situations without question. Everyone acknowledges the importance for a factory or a puppy or a toddler. And so you're right. It puts it in a way where you don't feel guilty about it or like you shouldn't be doing it. You're like, of course, this is just a natural part of that. Yeah. So, yeah. And now for a Know Yourself Better suggestion. Now, the suggestion is to identify useful patterns about yourself, which sounds super vague, but I was thinking, and Elizabeth, maybe we can think of a better way to phrase this, but I was thinking about a pattern in my own life and how helpful it was to recognize this as a pattern instead of just a bunch of one-off actions. So my pattern is that before a big event or a big trip, or a big challenge. Let's say I'm going on a book tour or I'm going on a big family vacation or I have like something really serious coming up. I become a bit of a hypochondriac. I fixate on my body part. Like, remember, Elizabeth, before the hiking trip, I was like, there's something wrong with my big toe. I strained my big toe. And like, what am I going to do? How am I going to hike with this big toe? The minute we started, I never thought about it again. Or like one time I was like, there's something wrong with my eye. Did I scratch my cornea? Do I need to go to the eye doctor? What's going on? Do I have pink eye? I think that because I know that the stakes are very high or that I'm going to be kind of out of reach of my usual support system, I start to overreact. Now, this is a good thing to recognize because it's not like I want to dismiss something if it's actually important. But if I start having these feelings like, uh-oh, this is really bad, I can just say, well, this often happens before a big trip. So take a beat, and maybe it's really not as big a deal as you fear.
Gretchen, I have to point out this tendency of yours could be rooted in our trip to Europe together. The two of us, when I developed horrendous tonsillitis and my throat was like swollen to twice its size, and you were left searching for doctors. So it could have been rooted in that. Just a thought.
Well, yeah. Oh, that was bad. What was I reading? It wasn't Clan of the Cave Bears. It was one of those gigantic novels. I just sat there hoping that you would get better. Oh,
which I did.
Poor Elizabeth. Which you did. Yes, indeed.
Another pattern that we share as a family, Gretchen, is hostess neurosis.
Yes, that is a pattern. You, me, and our mother.
Yeah. So all of us suffer anxiety before hosting, and we get very short, very tense.
Yes.
And once we realized it was a pattern, and that it happened every time we were hosting, it became easier to deal with because we could make a joke about it.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I'm going into hostess neurosis mode, so you can stay here and be helpful, or you can stay out of my way, but just get out of my way. And Jamie's like, got it. We had a surprise party for Dad years ago at my apartment in New York City. We needed to lure him out because it was a surprise party. So I said, well, and my in-laws live right around the corner. Right around the corner. So I said, Judy and Bob say, why don't you come over and have a drink with them? And then you can all come over to the party together. And Dad was like, that is the greatest idea of all time. Because he knew with the three of us running around before this nice party, the hostess neurosis would be off the charts.
Yeah, he knew that he was going to a party you were hosting. He just didn't know it was a surprise party for him.
Yeah. We looked around and realized he knew everybody there. He was pretty surprised. Yeah. Yes. But the thing is, he knew about the hostess neurosis. And it was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to clear out. He didn't know about the surprise party, but he definitely knew that before a party, he wanted to give us our space.
Now, one pattern I recognize in myself, Gretchen, is inevitably at some point when Sarah and I are working on a project, I have major doubts about it.
Oh, interesting.
It always happens, whether it's TV or book or any other writer's retreat, whatever it is, I'll start being like, should we even be doing this? Is this terrible? Why are we doing this? I don't understand. I've lost my understanding of this. Should we abandon it? And now that we've both recognized it as a pattern, it is much easier to deal with.
Right.
Because Sarah knows that I'm just going through this and I've got to cycle through it. And knowing that it's a pattern, I can cycle through it much more quickly.
Well, and I'm sure then it's also less upsetting to her, because if she thinks that you're honestly having this moment of doubt, then she might herself begin to question and think, well, do we need to really rethink this? Whereas if she knows, like, this is just a stage you go through, she can just be like,
yes,
okay, recognizing the pattern makes it easier. Well, I have sort of a similar stage, which is I have in work, when I'm at like 85% done, I start thinking, this is so trite. Everything that I'm writing is so incredibly obvious. Everybody already knows this. There's no reason. And I simply don't understand why I've been working on it for so long to come up with things that are just so banal. And then I also have a stage where everything falls apart and I'm like, everything is just completely disconnected. Nothing's related to anything else. There's no transition. There's no logical sequence. Everything just feels like this inchoate mess. And again, it's just like, oh, this is that stage that I go through where everything feels disconnected. And then it somehow comes together again. But it's just knowing your pattern.
Yes. Once you know your pattern, you can plan for it, accept it, joke about it, take it into account, and it won't impact you as much.
Yeah, absolutely. And now for happiness stumbling block. This is a stumbling block for me, but Elizabeth, maybe it should also count as a demerit because it often leads to bad behavior on my part.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
So it is this, that I really do not enjoy listening to people talk about their travels. I don't want to hear about your trip. I don't want to hear about the restaurants you went to and the amazing meals you had. I don't want to hear about why you thought about taking the train instead of renting a car. If I'm going on a trip, I don't want to hear your suggestions about certain things. When we travel, everybody in my family is more interested in making travel plans than I am. And so the way that I participate is I make absolutely no contribution. Then I show up and I'm incredibly enthusiastic with what everybody else picks. And so I don't have a responsibility to like, this is the best restaurant in this XYZ city, because other people around me are very interested in that. But as a consequence, I just find it really hard to listen. And there have been times where I feel like I have been rude to somebody who really was interested in talking about it. And I just was not able to fake it very well.
Well, it's like dreams. You know, there are those people who want to talk about dreams and those who don't. Most of us think our own dreams are interesting.
Yes.
And are less interested in the dreams of other people. But what I would say, Gretchen, is maybe if you think of it not so much as listening to your friend talk about their trip, but allowing another human to process the experience they had, that would help you.
That is a great reframing because, a friend of mine once said that he was very disappointed because he had had sort of a life-changing experience on a trip and he was surprised by how little people wanted to hear him talk about it. But even if it hasn't been life-changing, it's just been like a really exciting trip that you made. Maybe kind of like us wanting to talk about what happened with Dad. It's a gesture that you do for a friend, not because it's interesting to you, but because you know that it's something that somebody else wants to talk about. Okay, I will do that. But then there are the people that are just bombarding you with information and they just kind of want to impress you with like all their knowledge and how they searched out this little known place where you can get hand grown figs. And then, it's just, I don't know. Maybe I need to come up with like a polite way to pivot.
Yes.
If it's not a friend who's talking about something that's really meaningful, that I really want to be there, but it's just somebody who I feel like is just downloading a lot of info on me.
Yes. It's possible that those people often are doing that. This just happens to be about their trip and not something else.
Could be. Anyway, if anybody has any good suggestions, let me know because I want to be more polite. Even if I can't be like an enthralled listener, I can have good manners.
Yes. All right, Gretch, coming up, you have a repeat demerit that we've both experienced. But first, this break.
Summer always changes what I want to wear. I stop reaching for anything heavy or complicated and just want pieces that feel light, comfortable, and easy from the first second I put them on. That's why I keep coming back to Quince. Their linen pieces especially have become my default this time of year. I have a linen button down from Quince that, it's one of those pieces that works for everything, for travel, for dinner, for weekends. It feels much more expensive than it is. I love that Quince uses high quality materials like European linen and organic cotton, but everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands because they work directly with ethical factories.
Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Gretchen for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gretchen.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
I've been trying to say yes more to little adventures. Nothing huge, just getting out of the routine and going somewhere different for the day. And it really makes you appreciate having a car that feels solid and comfortable, where you're not thinking about the drive, you're just focused on where you're going. That's what stood out to me about the Defender. It has that rugged design, but it also feels really thoughtful inside. And I like that there's a full lineup. from the 2-door 90 to the 110, and the 130 with seating for up to 8. So it really fits different kinds of plans.
And it's built with those durable, purposeful materials so you can actually use it without worrying about every little thing. It also has features that make driving feel easier, like ClearSight technology and the Pivi Pro system, so you can keep track of where you're going and everything you want to listen to along the way. Plus, with up to 89 cubic feet of cargo space and available 3 rows, it gives you a lot of flexibility depending on what you're bringing with you. Explore the full Defender lineup at LandRoverUSA.com. Okay, Gretch, we are back, and it is time for demerits and gold stars. And this week, you're up with a happiness demerit.
Okay, this is the millionth demerit. If we were ranking our repeat demerits, this is probably top for maybe both of us, which is, I know we're going to go to Kansas City in the summer. We always go to Kansas City in the summer. Scheduling is life. It only gets harder the longer you wait. It only gets more expensive the longer you wait. Do I need more information? No, I do not. I just need to make a decision. I just need to sit down with the calendar and Eliza and Eleanor and say, these dates to these days, how does this work? I'm sure both of them will be like, this is fine because I already know their calendars, so I already know when they're clear.
Right.
But have I done it? No, I have not, because I just don't like making plane reservations. I just don't like making plans that involve planes. I always feel whatever I pick, it's going to end up being really inconvenient, or I'm going to regret that I took this particular flight. But the fact is, that's unknowable. That's true of every single flight that I would pick. So it's a sheer delay, sheer dumb delay.
Gretch, I just went through this getting plane tickets, and by waiting, I cost myself hundreds of dollars.
Oh.
Even just a days. And then I finally just had to bite the bullet because it was just getting more expensive.
Right.
So especially now, get those plane tickets.
Especially nowadays. All right. Well, let's just take us up. What is your gold star?
Well, Gretch, I am giving myself a gold star this week.
Yay. I love it when you give yourself a gold star.
Thank you. Last week, I had 4 days in a row of social activity, which is just a lot. And, I want more social activity in my life. I want to be seeing people. I want to be out in the world. I want to be connecting. So I give myself a big gold star.
So what did you do?
So one night I went to see Lena Dunham. I love Lena Dunham on her very short book tour. I went and saw her. I played mahjong one night.
Wonderful.
I went to a dinner party at a friend's house one night. And then I ended it with a big graduation party I went to for someone in Adam's family. So it was all different groups of people, sort of different types of events. They were all wonderful. I'm so happy I went to every single one of them. And let me give myself a gold star and a reminder to say yes and to do things.
Well, and if you had tried deliberately, you couldn't have had a bigger mix. Because you have big family gathering, friend gathering, party night, you love a game night, something where you're buying a ticket. I'm supposed to buy all these tickets this year, and I'm halfway through my tickets. I need to buy more tickets. So that's great. Did you feel charged and energized and also probably tired?
Yes, I felt emotionally very fulfilled and psychologically, but physically on Sunday, I felt absolutely wiped out.
Okay, well, that's good. Then you have the day for recovery. Treat yourself like a factory.
Yes.
The resource for this week, Father's Day is coming up on June 15th. And if you have a father in your life and you can't figure out what gift to give them, you can take the gift giving quiz to discover his gift appreciation type. And then when you know whether he's an easy to please, a tried and true, an enthusiast, or a connoisseur, you will be more confident that you have picked the right gift. That is happiercast.com/gift quiz, or you can just go to GretchenRubin.com. Our father was an easy to please.
He was.
And Elizabeth, what are we reading? What are you reading?
I am reading The Woman in Me by Britney Spears.
And I am reading Marking Time by Elizabeth Jane Howard. And that's it for this episode of Happier. Remember to try this at home. Reflect on a milestone moment. Let us know if you tried it and if it worked for you.
Thanks to our executive producer, Chuck Reed, and everyone at Lemonada.
And here's your rhyming reminder. If you are a fan of the podcast, review it fast. Reviews actually really matter, and please give us those 5-star reviews.
Until next week, I'm Elizabeth Kraft.
And I'm Gretchen Rubin. Thanks for joining us. Onward and upward. So Liza, I'm so excited. I'm starting to see pictures of you in off-white. You've been very consistent.
Yes, Gretch, I am trying. I will say maybe I should have more taken into account how hard it is to keep off-white clean.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm definitely doing a lot of laundry.
Okay.